Hello, welcome to the channel. My name is Josh. Today I'm counting down my picks for the top 20 horror films for Halloween. Just a quick disclaimer, these are not the top 20 best horror movies ever made. These aren't even ranked on this list in terms of their individual quality. These are ranked based on just how Halloween-y they feel to me. With that in mind, let's jump right in. At number 20, The Conjuring. Admittedly, I wasn't as taken with this film as many people seem to be. But that being said, it still holds a spot on this list because of Wan's impeccable direction as well as terrific performances from all its leads, Joey King in particular. Even the cinematography by John R. Leonetti is beautiful. But what really earns it a place on this list is the ambiance it creates. This is something that Wan excels at in all of his films, a creepy atmosphere which unsettles you, even if it isn't the scariest film you'll ever see. Number 19, The Blair Witch Project. If we're going to talk about ambiance, I'd be remiss if I didn't also mention 1999's The Blair Witch Project. Shot on a super low budget with unknown actors, this film raked in the money upon its initial release. Why? Because of what was at the time unorthodox camera work, a creepy setting in the woods, and a genius marketing campaign. What makes this film still hold up is its deeply unsettling atmosphere. Number 18, Fright Night. Remember how I said that this list was not going to be a list of best or scariest horror ever? This is what I meant. By no means a terrifying or great film, Fright Night earns a spot on this list for being a Halloween-drenched cheesy horror comedy that just is loads of fun. It's well made, it's legitimately creepy a few times, and Chris Sarandon gives a great performance as the nasty vamp. Number 17, Scream. This is one of my favorite horror movies ever, period. It's funny, it's fast-paced, it's well-acted, and it just is so darn fun. Director Wes Craven and writer Kevin Williamson pay loving homage to the genre that made them so successful, still inciting some genuinely effective scares. What's more, this film just feels like it was made for a spooky movie marathon, so it's perfect for this list. Number 16, The Fly. David Cronenberg's masterpiece film, The Fly, features arguably the best performance of Jeff Goldblum's career, playing a man slowly turning into, well, a fly. Not only is this one of the best horror remakes of all time, but it's also just one of the best horror movies of all time. It will also be the only appearance of body horror on my list. Number 15, An American Werewolf in London. Okay, so I may have fudged the truth a little bit on the last one. While this film certainly isn't straight up body horror, the big scene from this movie, the one you know even if you've never seen the movie, definitely holds its spot on the top of best body horror effects. Nonetheless, this is a landmark film for not just horror movies, but practical effects. The Best Effects Oscar was actually created to honor the transformation scene from this movie. It's atmospheric, it's disturbing, and it's brilliant. Number 14, From Dusk Till Dawn. If you haven't noticed a theme yet, I'm a huge practical effects junkie, especially when it comes to the horror genre. From Dusk Till Dawn is one of Robert Rodriguez's best films. It's full to the brim with excellent Halloween-y action and near-perfect effects and makeup work on all super cool 90s vamps. Basically, when you think of pure fun in one 90-minute package, you've got to think of From Dusk Till Dawn. And at number 13, Friday the 13th. Everybody knows this cheesy classic that tells the story of some promiscuous kids getting picked off one by one at Camp Crystal Lake. It was made for no money and was intended to cash in on the success of John Carpenter's classic, Halloween. But it gained a life of its own. It's fun, it's set in the woods, again noticing a theme here. Everything about this film shouldn't work, but it totally does. Also, Kevin Bacon pre-Footloose. Number 12, It. This Stephen King miniseries is considered a classic and is on many people's Halloween favorites lists, and it will always be on mine. True, it's not so scary, but it is fun, inventive, it has some interesting visuals and a compelling core mystery. Not to mention Tim Curry's iconic portrayal of Pennywise the Clown. Number 11, The Shining. Okay, so I realize that this film is actually probably better than almost every other film on this list, but there are a few more that just feel more Halloween-y. Directed by the incredible Stanley Kubrick, this film is near perfection. Every shot is beautifully captured, every performance top-notch. Kubrick's use of certain colors and patterns in this film makes it feel even more claustrophobic and terrifying, and Jack Nicholson's antics made the other performers' fear seem more real. Number 10, Cabin in the Woods. Written by Joss Whedon and one-time Buffy collaborator Drew Goddard, Cabin in the Woods starts out like a typical teen horror movie. A jock, a nerd, a stoner, a good guy, and a floozy head into an abandoned cabin for a weekend of fun. Then, crap hits the fan. But the element of mystery created by a group of people at work observing these teens and causing things to happen to them makes this a clever, fresh satire of the genre that still provides several great scares. Number 9. Psycho. Definitely the best horror movie on this list. Alfred Hitchcock's 1960 classic is the ultimate standard for modern horror. It inspired an entire era of horror filmmaking, and it holds two of the most iconic scenes in cinema history. Those being the shower scene and We All Go a Little Mad Sometimes. It's enthralling, scary, and brilliant, and it deserves to be watched Halloween after Halloween. Number 8. Dead Alive. A personal favorite of mine, Dead Alive is the brainchild of a then young and unknown Peter Jackson. He shot the film with a super low budget in his home country of Australia. In this film, the dead come back to life, and the main character has to fight them off in one of the most iconic bloodbaths ever put to film. It also has a hilarious sense of humor, and it gave us the lawnmower scene. Number 7. House on Haunted Hill. One of the films that has defined Halloween for me since childhood, this Vincent Price horror romp is creepy and interesting while remaining primarily a twisted mystery. Basically, Price invites a bunch of people to a supposedly haunted house for one night, offering them a large sum of cash to stay all night, if they can survive. It also has one of my favorite cold opens ever. Number 6. Nosferatu. There are two kinds of people in this world. Those who prefer Nosferatu to Dracula, and those that are wrong. This film was at the beginning of German Expressionism, and it contains some of the creepiest, most chilling visuals ever. Nosferatu is the coolest, scariest, most intriguing vampire around. Number 5. Wolfman. One of the first horror movies I ever fell in love with, Lon Chaney's The Wolfman is filled with interesting visual depictions of the occult and the intense battle of a good man who must fight his inner demons. The makeup work is astounding, and the transformation shot in the shadows is one of the most iconic shots in horror history. It's a must-watch. Number 4. A Nightmare on Elm Street. Yes, another Wes Craven movie. In a time filled with cheesy Halloween knockoffs, Wes Craven brought us something entirely new. A man named Freddy Krueger who lives in our nightmares and can kill us in real life. Inspired by an actual story in a newspaper that Craven happened to read, where kids of a small town were terrified of sleeping and were trying to stay awake all night. This film is creepy, and most importantly, it's fun. Number 3. Night of the Living Dead. George A. Romero is one of the true kings of horror, and so many of his movies could have fit onto this list. But I'm choosing just one, and it's gotta be this one. Iconic visuals, memorable characters, and the birth of the modern zombie. This film merged a few different genres to get its feeling and created a whole new one. Oh, and by the way, those are actual organs of animals you see the zombies eating. Now that's what I call dedication. Number 2. Halloween. Anybody who makes a list of great horror movies and doesn't include this gem is crazy. John Carpenter's masterpiece, this film is smart, suspenseful, and it feels very possible. Donald Pleasence is amazing in this film, and it gave us the Queen of Scream, Jamie Lee Curtis. Number 1. The Evil Dead. Ah yes, Sam Raimi's excellent ultra-low-budget death fest, The Evil Dead. It's non-stop cheesy fun with killer effects, and while I do prefer the second film, it's just nowhere near as Halloween-y. So there it is, my list of the top 20 best horror movies for Halloween. Do you agree? Do you disagree? Did I forget something? Let me know in the comments. Thanks for watching.